Ladies and gentlemen, before we get into today's conversation, I want to share a little bit about Two Before, today's presenting sponsor of the podcast. I've worked with Two Before for over 2 years now, and it's really cool to work with partners long term, and Two Before has been there for me for a long time, and they make an incredible product that I'm always happy to talk to you guys about. Breaking down Two Before for you, if you're unfamiliar, Two Before is made up of blackcurrant powder, and if you're not familiar with blackcurrants, they are antioxidant berries grown in New Zealand, and studies have shown that consuming them regularly improves endurance by increasing blood flow and removing lactic acid, and they also can manage inflammation and kickstart muscle recovery, meaning you can hit your next training session just as strong as you did the previous day. Today, I have a special code for you, the Running Effect 30, which will give you 30% off of your purchase. And I'm really excited to hear the testimonials of you guys trying it out because I firmly believe this stuff works and is a great asset to your training. Without further ado, enjoy my conversation of the podcast today.
Hey, what else he say? He said Anthony Edwards out here with a $200 million contract playing like he broke. I'm not going to say I have a $200 million contract, but I'm running like I'm broke. I'm just hungry, man.
That was Brandon Miller today on the Running Effect podcast, a man who has been excellent at nearly every stage of his career, from high school to even before then, as a 13-year-old running 156 in the 800, which was an age world record. Absolutely remarkable. From a super young age, Brandon has been dedicated to the sport of track and field, and he's been so excellent, particularly at the 800-meter event. But even this year, he broke 4 minutes on the mile. I think he's run 3:35 in the 15. And as he states in this conversation, not only does he want to make a U.S. team at the end of the month in Eugene, Oregon, he wants to medal at the World Championships in Tokyo in September. I love Brandon. He's a man of faith. He is a man of dedication, of persistence, of obsession for the sport of track and field, and it shows in his results as well as how he carries himself, embodies himself. This one is for the dreamers out there who are really focused and dedicated on taking their running to the next level. Brandon will give you the tool set you need to really have the mindset needed to be excellent, to be one of the greats at the sport. If you enjoy this one, share it with a friend, a family member, a teammate, someone who you think would find value and benefit from it. Give us a 5-star review. It takes 3 to 5 seconds to do so, and hit the follow or subscribe button so you never miss another episode. Without further ado, enjoy this conversation with the man, the myth, the legend, Brandon Miller. Ladies and gentlemen, the man across from me was probably faster than me the day he came out the womb, because this man has been running fast around circles on the track for quite some time. Brandon Miller, ladies and gentlemen. Brandon, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me.
I mentioned, and I don't have the stats with me. If I did, we would be here all day. I'd be reading off age group world records, AAU titles, the whole 9 yards. I'd be here all day. But at what point in your journey did you feel like you knew that you were low-key him? You were low-key that guy who could run fast. Track was your calling.
Honestly, I don't think it really hit me until I want to say my maybe my freshman year of high school, sophomore year of high school. Track was something I always did. It's something I always enjoyed. It's something I always had dreams in. But it was never really something even now, I don't even necessarily think like, oh, I'm him, I'm this, I'm that. I just do it because I enjoy the sport, and I do it because I want to be the best. So.
Talk about your parents a little bit. I can tell people say this the same with me. Like, when you meet someone who talks a certain way, who carries them a certain way, who is kind, and specifically, I think who talks about their faith as openly as you do, you can kind of always point it back to an early on influence. So whether it was your parents or someone else, can you give some light to the people who kind of formed the man I'm talking to today off the track?
Nah, yeah, I give all credit to my parents. Um, this was their plan. This was a part of their plan. I've said it in interviews before. My dad went to the track meet to find a wife. And that's where he found my mom. So my dad played football at Mizzou. My mom ran track at Mizzou. And ever since we were kids, me, my brother, and my sister, they instill, like the core values. Obviously, faith is first. but they also instill just hard work, dedication, and really this idea of working for what it is that you want to achieve, whether it's on the track or off the track. So it's something that I've carried with me. I'm really thankful for my upbringing because you go to college and you go beyond and you find that it really helps in your success. So
I think a lot of people who grow up in those households either turn out like you or they resent their parents because they think, oh, they force track on me. They force being excellent on me. I'm going to go to college and, drink and do drugs and have sex.
yeah.
And like they kind of revert against their parents. For you, why do you think you were able to go the path that your parents had planned for you and kind of not resent them in that?
Yeah, I think my parents they also allow me to be a kid. They also allow me to make mistakes. Um, they brought me up in a household where it wasn't really overbearing in the sense, and they let me have freedom um, to the point where some things I could learn for myself. And then there were also other things where they told me to stay away from that, stay away, and that stuff. But again, it was never anything where throughout my childhood, when I was a kid, I only worked out like 3 days a week on the track. You know what I'm saying? It was never really, I'm working out as a college athlete in middle or high school or anything like that. So they allowed me to grow. But they also gave me and fed me this mindset of, again, excellence is a habit. You know what I'm saying? Excellence is what you do each and every day. So um, I think that's what really stuck with me and my brother and my sister as we've been able to grow up, and it's treated us well so far. So,
How competitive was it as kids?
oh, so competitive, man. So,
And
so
everything
competitive.
or just on the track?
Oh, everything, everything.
Yeah.
So my other brother plays football, um, and I remember my dad, and him used to play the game all the time. And we used to talk all this trash to each other, and the PS3 and the Xbox and stuff like that. And I think from an early age, that really instilled a sense of competitiveness. And I'd say I'm ultra competitive in the things that I do. Um, so that could be a pro in some things, and that can be kind of a con in others. So I try to control myself a little bit when I'm not on the track. So
I think a lot of people will look at those sort of situations and be like, "Oh, competitiveness is cancer. Like it's not good for kids. It's not that deep. Don't care so much about a sport." It's kind of my opinion. Yes, there are always those annoying kids in the neighborhood that cry after they lose, and it's like, okay, like come on,
yeah,
like you're a little annoying. But I feel like for the most part, and I had two brothers, and it was very similar, and they were 4 and 5 years older, so naturally I got my butt whooped, but it kind of
yeah,
felt good. I think the competitiveness almost breeds excellence because it keeps you striving. And if you say something, you want to back it up, and then you feel like a fool if you don't. And it I think is a good cycle as a young boy specifically to kind of always have your work cut out for you. What's your take on, one day if you have kids, like raising competitive sons?
Oh, I think it's necessary. I think it's necessary because I think at the end of the day, a sense of competitiveness will allow you to achieve success in whatever it is that you want to do in life. This world is hard, man. It's hard, and they say only the strong survive. So I think it's really necessary to create and raise strong individuals, whether that be a man or a woman, and really instill this competitive drive in them to go and get what it is that they say they want, rather than just saying it and kind of just leaving it there. Because there's two parts to the equation. There's saying it, but there's you also have to back it up with action as well. You have to back it up with process. You have to back it up with discipline. You have to back it up with commitment and things like that. And I feel like all of that is in the same boat as far as a competitive drive to go and get what you want. So
I love the quote that the day a boy becomes a man is the day he realizes no one's coming to save him, and
yes,
that day sometimes that day doesn't come for anyone, and a boy stays a boy for his entire life. For
yeah.
you, can you pinpoint a specific moment in your life, in your journey, where you thought, okay, great parents, they're raising me in these ways, they're making me excellent at track? Was there a point where it switched for you of like, okay, it's on me now to do the rest? They instilled the basic values and virtues of discipline and commitment to get me far, but now I got to accept it as my own and I got to take it to the next level.
Yeah, I think for a lot of people that comes when you step outside of your parents' household and you are on your own in college. So I would say for me, that's when it clicked for me because I didn't have my parents telling me to get up and do this or get up and do that. And now that's different for everybody depending on your situation at home and things like that. I was very fortunate to allow my have my parents want to guide my process. Even to this point, they still are very involved with my process, and I talk to them a lot. But ultimately, when you get on your own, it's on you. So for me, it was college. That's when I realized that, okay, if I say I want it, I have to have the work and the discipline behind closed doors by myself to be able to achieve the things that I say I want to. So college for sure.
I think you've had more transitions than most people. How have you grappled with that? Going to college, being a stud, then going pro, then switching brands, dabbling your feet in the 15. I feel like you're constantly adapting. Has that been hard? Has that been difficult? Can you give me some insight into that?
Well, yeah, I wouldn't say so. I kind of just take it day by day. You know what I'm saying? I think at the end of the day, I've kind of got used to this idea of God placed me where He wants me, and if you would have told me my freshman year of college that I was going to be in LA 3 years later, I wouldn't have believed you. And then if you would have told me when I first got to LA that I was going to be in Seattle the next year, I wouldn't have believed you either. So I don't know. I just feel like I've grown accustomed to this idea that you don't know about tomorrow. Tomorrow's not promised, so take advantage of today. So that's kind of where the past 2 years, and we can get into it later. My mindset has kind of been it's just taking advantage of each and every single day that I have, and not neglecting the now because I feel like if I don't neglect the now and I take advantage of the now, then what I want later will become a reality. So,
A lot of that I think boils down to controlling the controllables. How big has that been for you in your career and life?
oh man, it's been huge, and I think um, I think it's just been something I've been learning these past couple of years. I like to say that I remember. Praying when I was in college. I was like, Lord, I want to be great. I want to be great. You know what I'm saying? And instead of uh, him just zapping my legs with 139 speed, one thing that he did is he gave me blueprints. Right. So when I went out to LA, I got to see how Sydney operated. And then when I came out to Brooks, I got to see how Josh operated. So I got to see the blueprints, and it was my ability to execute the blueprints and learn from the blueprints and apply them to my life. That's allowed me to kind of see the success that I've been seeing these past couple of years. And a big part of that, like you said, is controlling the controllables. That's something that every great athlete does very, very well. And that's something that I've been applying to my game as well. So,
Who's more obsessed, Sydney or Josh? If you had to put a pin on it.
it's funny because I think they're both obsessed, but in different ways. Sydney's done a really, really, really good job of creating a team around her that breeds excellence. And obviously, she is so talented. Uh, I mean, she has a God-given gift at the end of the day, and her team really pulls out the best in her. And she's also super competitive. I remember training with her in 2023, and right before she ran the 48.7 all year she was just trying to break 49, trying to break 49, trying to break 49, and it wasn't coming yet. And I remember probably a couple of weeks before USA's, Bobby had brought some JUCO boys out and to run like a 350. And Sydney whooped them. It was crazy. It was crazy to see. It was crazy to see. And at that point, it was like, oh yeah, she's ready, right? And I think we see on the outside, I think we see Sydney, as like this. I mean, she's really grounded in her faith. She's really calm, really collected. She'll break a world record. She'll just be chilling. But she really has a competitive edge to her. She's really a dog. And that's a side that I think a lot of people don't see of how driven she is to be the best. And when it comes to Josh, Josh is, man. Love that dude. I mean, when you just look at guys who are committed to their craft, I think Josh Kerr is the definition of that, you know. And I've been able to learn a lot. And a lot of people will, from the outside in, look at that process that he goes through and say that's crazy, or look at the way that he operates and say that's insane. But you need to be like that to get to the places where he's going, or to get to the places where he's already got. Um, I mean, you name any great athlete, and I'll probably tell you they're probably the same way in their own type of way. So,
What did you personally take away from training with those two individuals, or just two wildly kind of different groups, but at the top are, some of the greatest athletes in the entire world who are doing things that have never been done before at the circuit? And how in those moments did you fight against comparison, where it's like, Josh, that guy is the definition of obsessed. He literally has a burner phone. Like, I saw it with my own eyes, that thing's like an iPhone 4. Like, and
yeah,
I'm laughing at him. How do you bridge the gap between, like, here's where I'm at, I aspire to be there, he's doing these
right,
certain things, I'm not going to beat myself up for not doing these things, like the process to get there? Can you speak to that?
right, yeah. I think the biggest thing about comparison, I think it all goes back to controlling what you can control. At the end of the day, I think there's a piece to knowing that you did everything that you could do, and maybe it wasn't enough. And I think there's a piece to knowing that you did everything that you could do, and you achieved what you want to achieve. Um, I think it's really just about focusing on your process. Not everybody gets to the same place at the same time, um, and that's really important for people to hear. And just because your career doesn't follow the same trajectory as somebody else's career and the timeline that they did, it doesn't mean that you won't eventually get there. I mean, I think you've seen examples of a bunch of athletes who just kept working, and then eventually got that breakthrough. um, so for me, comparison was never really something that I dealt with, as far as Sydney, as far as Josh, as far as anyone really, because I just want to be the best me that I can be. I want to be the best Brandon Miller. I don't want to be the next anybody. I want to be the first Brandon Miller. And I'm just praying that you know, that comes to fruition.
How crucial is that aspect of that name holds weight? Like, your last name, your family name holds weight, but the first name is what
Yeah.
carries the most weight. Your parents intentionally named you, they formed you, they made you the man you are today. And I think a lot of times people chasing great things, it's important to have idols, or not. Idols is a strong word. It's important to, especially biblically, you and I would be like, it's important to have people to
Yeah.
look up to, role models.
Yeah.
But it can be a tricky trap where it's like you are chasing this vision and identity of someone who is completely different than you and wants different things out of life than you. And at the end of the day, if you're chasing after greatness, it's way better to be one of one than just the best in a category. Like, no one will ever beat you at being you if you're truly you.
1000%. And I think that's the biggest thing. I think a lot of people have to understand that I am who I am. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not, like, if I try to change who I am, then I'm not really being who I'm supposed to be. You get what I'm saying, in the sense of trying to be something that you're not. So I think for me, when I am chasing, am going about trying to achieve the things in my track career that I want to achieve them, I want to achieve them as authentically being me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be anybody else. And I think uh, what you see is what you get with me. You know, what you see is what you get. Everything that I say, I try to say it with a purpose. I make mistakes. Everything I do, I try to do it with a purpose. I make mistakes sometimes, but I try my hardest to be exactly who I feel like God has called me to be, and be exactly who I feel like I am. So.
Can you give some context to the listener of how good you were back in the day setting age group world records? And did you feel like that built up a pressure? And if so, how did you deal with that?
Yeah, I was all right. I was blessed to be experience a lot of success early on, um, and I think a lot of people, like, I don't know. I think it's a lot of people have been following my career and my journey for such a long time, um, and it's there's been some ups, there's been some downs. I remember my freshman year, I broke 150 for the first time. My sophomore year, I got a little bit faster. I didn't run my junior year because I got hurt, and then COVID happened my senior year. So, um, a lot of people kind of look at like, oh, your high school, you came in running 149, you came out running 149. I was like, well, that wasn't really the case. You know what I'm saying? So, um, like you said, multiple age group world records. Was blessed to be able to do that. But I think for me, it was just doing it for the love of the game. You know what I'm saying? And again, I think my parents did a really, really good job of keeping me as a kid early, so that I can have the improvements that I'm having, that I had in college, that I'm having now, um, and God willing, I will have in the future. So
Did you see the video? I don't know if you follow golf, but the video of Scotty Scheffler. You see this a day
yeah,
or two
yeah, I've
ago?
been seeing, yeah,
I thought that was just excellent. And he was kind of, I think, the core of a lot of what he was saying was just like, I do golf because I love it, you
yeah,
know?
yeah,
And like, I loved what he said about like, and I'm sure you could relate this to the Olympics or certain times, like, I do it and I enjoy the 2 minutes after and then immediately think about the next thing. He's like, at the end of
yeah,
the day, this is like a shallow profession.
yeah,
Um, he's like, you win it, you celebrate, get to hug my family. Then it's like, okay, what are we going to eat for dinner? Life goes on.
yeah. The
So good.
sun, the sun goes up, and I think that's real. You know what I'm saying? I remember it was my lifelong dream to compete at the Olympics. You know what I'm saying? And as soon as I got done, it was okay. Time. What's next? You know what I'm saying? So I think he hit the nail on the head. It's never trying to find fulfillment like in what you do. Because honestly, at the foundation of everything that we strive for, it's people want more money. No, they just want security. You know what I'm saying? um People want a boyfriend, a girlfriend, husband, or a wife. No, they just want intimacy. You know what I'm saying? And in all
Bro's
actuality,
preaching. Come on now. Come on
yeah,
now.
yeah, like, and that's just reality. You know what I'm saying? And I think when people say you can only like find your identity in Jesus Christ, is because He offers you all of that. You know what I'm saying? And I think it really allows you to perform on a better level, on a higher level, when you figure out your identity, when you separate who you are from what you do, because now you're not going to bed thinking that you're a failure because you had a bad practice. You know what I'm saying? Or you don't think you're not worth anything because you had a bad race. And it allows you to bounce back and have a lot of perseverance, because your well being isn't tied to what you do. Because sports is just, it's all over the place. You know what I'm saying? And learning how to ride that wave is what champions do. So
I imagine you had parts of your career where you lost that sight that you just shared with me, whether it was chasing an SEC title or chasing a sponsorship or chasing Olympic Games. In those moments where you found yourself lost, trying to fulfill parts of your heart with worldly things, how did you recenter yourself and ground yourself in the truth that you just stated with me?
well, I think it just came from just listening to people. You know what I'm saying, and reflecting on who I was. There's times where you're chasing so much success. Where you're chasing this, you're chasing that, you're chasing this, and you're chasing that. You start to lose yourself a little bit, and I think it's in those moments where you kind of have to look yourself in the mirror and take some accountability and be like, okay, I'm tripping. What do I need to do to get back on track? You know what I'm saying? And the way that I know how to do that, right, is diving deep into my word, um, and being in prayer and all of that good stuff. And it may look different for everybody, but that's the only way I know how to do that. So that's what I would say really allowed me to gain an identity off the track, because a lot of the times you feel like your worth is okay, what you do on the track, or how people are talking about you, or doing this or doing that, when it really isn't.
You mentioned some of the age group world records, as did I. One of those was 156.41 as a 13-year-old.
Yeah.
Like, when you do that, are you what do you remember what went through your head? Like, were you aware you were a world record holder? What did that mean to you? What were you dreaming of being an Olympian at that point? Like, take me through 13-year-old Brandon Miller. What's he thinking about his life in track and field?
Yeah, it was funny because I just went out and did it. Honestly, I think my whole I remember that season because that's the season my mom and dad had made a bet because I was playing football up until that point, and my mom said if he breaks two, he won't play football. He'll just play basketball and run track. And my dad was like, bet, because I had been struggling to break two all year and stuff like that. And I remember when I got to nationals, my prelim was 158 and my final was 156. So I remember that because I was like, okay, I guess I'm not playing football anymore. Uh, but I don't know. As a kid, it was one of them things where you go run fast and then you go play your Nintendo DS after. That's a pure example of how life goes on. Um, and again, I think my parents did a really, really good job of giving me that space so that I continue to stay hungry, stay humble, stay focused, and not get burnt out physically, but most importantly, mentally going forward and into the times where uh, where track became my job. They didn't want it to become a business too quickly, you know. And my first time running track, like as my only sport year round, was my freshman year of college.
Wow.
Freshman year of college, yeah.
You
So
hooped?
I
Hooped all
hooped
four
all through
years?
high school. Hooped all
Dude,
through high school,
were you a
yeah.
baller?
I was, man. I was. I really enjoyed playing with my older brother. That's really why I did it. And all the memories that I made with my homeboys and all of that, playing in the big rivalry games and in high school. You come out, you touch the backboard and stuff like that. But play varsity all the years of high school.
What, you point
Really
guard?
tough. Point guard. I couldn't do
Yeah,
it really
of
anything
course.
else.
Of course.
But yeah, I think my parents really instilled this sense of humility in me from an early age. Um, so I think that really carried me on to have success later.
Pausing current conversation. MJ or
Perfect.
LeBron?
Oh, I'm a LeBron guy.
No, come on.
I'm a
What is it with
LeBron.
these
I'm a
new kids,
LeBron guy,
man?
man. I'm a
In what
LeBron
in
guy.
what sport do we name a goat with someone with a losing record in a championship?
Hey, basketball is a team game, man. It's a team game. Boy, when you think about individual accolades and what he's
Six,
done,
six, 6 for 6.
I get that argument, but I gotta say LeBron. I've been a LeBron truther since
I think
since
I
high
think
school.
the valid point is probably the games are so wildly different, and it's hard to just pick one guy. Like LeBron is undisputably the best player um, this era, and MJ is
Yeah,
undisputably the best player last era. But it's
yeah,
funny,
for
man. I
sure.
have a whole group chat on my phone with like a ton of guys, and it's literally just titled MJ or LeBron. It's been going for 2 years, and guys will hash it out every day with points back to back. But this is funny. People will go far fetched. Yesterday, someone texted, "There's no way that people will try to just like throw it off of traction." So they're like,
Yeah.
"There's no way LeBron is over Curry all time. Head to head, Curry 29-23, playoffs Curry 17-11, finals Curry 15-7." Titles tie. Curry is 3-1 versus Braun in the finals. Winning is key, and both players had strong teams. Stats aside, Curry had a good impact on winning. So people will go like niche. Like people will just like expand the argument, XYZ. But that's why I love sports. It's ridiculous, but it's like we could be here all day
We
debating the
could be.
facts and yeah. I
No,
just
it's
think
it's
MJ
amazing.
revolutionized the game. I mean, so did LeBron. That's the hard thing. They both have done such similar things, just different eras.
Exactly. You
LeBron
talk
though
about
annoys me because he's a little kid on the court. Like have you seen the video of him stomping? I think he's talking about going to the Mavs. Twitter's going crazy over that. Like, stop.
yeah.
He chases super teams too much. It's like go
Yeah.
win. You got Luca and you got your ass beat in the first round. Like, what's that about?
You look at LeBron and the reason I love like I consider him to go. You had this expectation of this dude since high school. He lived up and he surpassed it. You talk about the expectation he had and he surpassed it. That's only something a goat could do. That's all I'm gonna say.
Do you think going back to normal conversation, 13-year-old kid? Do you think it helped that social media wasn't as prevalent as it is today in terms of like being able to just kind of be in your own world?
For sure, for sure. I think, especially as a kid, I think a lot of the times what can happen is you can try to take meaning from, yeah, like there's people that don't know you that comment on you on social media, and that's a lot for a kid. So it's a lot for a kid. So I think me growing up in an era that didn't have as much social media, was just starting to get, big and stuff like that. But I think that was very beneficial for me and my mental looking back on it, because people be saying whatever they want to say. So
How did you manage the expectation? World record holder 13. I'm sure you felt so many pressure to one up it every year. Was that hard at some point to be like, you're good, bro? Like, not every year has to be the best year of your career.
yeah, I think it's hard because as a kid you don't necessarily understand that success isn't necessarily linear. And I think that's something that you have to learn the older that you get. And you're so results driven as a kid, but you're not necessarily worried about the process in which it takes to get there, because you shouldn't be at that point. When you're 12 years old, 13 years old, you shouldn't be. There's a sense of, making a sacrifice to get what you want, but you shouldn't be living the pro lifestyle in, that young. So I would say yes and no. Um, I would say yes because, as a kid, you just want to see, the time, 156 go to 154 or whatever. But you don't necessarily understand everything that it takes to go from 156 to 154, nor should you at that moment. And I think I had people in my corner telling me that, even though I ran 151 the next year. Um, it's just that balance that I believe that I had. So yes and no to that question.
Sure, a lot of this built up to wanting to make the Olympics one day. You make the Olympics to kind of the Scotty part we were talking about. Did you feel fulfilled after you made the Olympics? And was it worth all the stress, if you did stress about, will I be an Olympian one day for it?
I feel like there's a lot of emotions when I there was a lot of emotions when I made that Olympic team. That accomplishment in of itself, no, not fulfilling. It's something that I can always say that I did, and I'm blessed. Uh, but I feel like a big emotion that people feel when they chase their dreams is relief as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, I could say that I achieved that. Um, so, but there was also excitement. Um, there was also this sense of gratitude because of how many people it took to get me to that point. There were so many emotions running through my head, and it was just pure joy, honestly, because uh, even though that moment in of itself didn't fulfill me, I think what I took meaning from and took a lot of joy from was the journey it took to get there. And I think that's what really sticks with me, and that's what's going to stick with me going forward, and just enjoying the moments that I had, because that was a beautiful moment, and I really enjoy myself. Um, that celebrating with like my teammates and the brand after the race, and celebrating with my family and my girl and stuff like that. So relief, but also just a huge joy because of the journey.
Which is more? Is it more excitement or relief? Because if you don't make it, you're like 4 more years. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, I think a big part of it is relief because it is 4 years. Get what I'm saying? And everything is elevated in an Olympic year, rather than just like a regular world championship year or even an off year. But the key is, just enjoying the moment that God has allowed you to get. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I worked for that moment, and I went out there and I took it. So that's something that I'll always cherish.
last year I feel like you gained your footing back from old Brandon Miller. This
Yeah.
year it's a whole new man. I mean, this is a man. In the words of Stephen A. Smith, talking about Anthony Edwards, this is a shark in blood infested waters. This is a man running 142 at Diamond Leagues. This is a man winning
Yeah.
1500s, breaking 4 minutes in the mile. How do you feel?
Hey, what else he say? He said Anthony Edwards out here with a $200 million contract playing like he broke. I'm not gonna say I have a $200 million contract, but I'm running like I'm broke. I'm just hungry, man. I'm just hungry, and I think for me, it's this was my second year in the system of Danny's system, and I think we're really starting to see the consistency compound on each other. You know what I'm saying? I'm really excited for USA Championships here in a couple weeks. We've been putting some good work in, and I'm just excited to go out and show off what we've been working on.
The 800 in the world, we talked about this in person off the record, but 800 in the world and then in the US is just, it's an odd event. 3 years
Yeah,
ago, 4 years ago, I remember watching the world champs and I was just like, this is a boring event. People are winning
yeah,
worlds in like 145. Like, this is so unimpressive compared to the other events.
yeah,
Well, things happen and now it might be the most up in the air, exciting. You don't know who the guy is who's running 141. The US, you got all these sorts of guys. Even at the high school level, you got a guy at Brooks PR, Cooper Luttenhouse,
yeah,
freaking sophomore, breaking
yeah.
this record that people have been talking about for years. What's your opinion on the state of the 800 meters USA and in the world, and how exciting is it to be, or terrifying is it to be an event that's just like so, you just don't know. On the day, anyone could have it.
Man, I think it's so exciting. I think if you think it's terrifying, I think you need to get out the kitchen. You know what I'm saying? Because at this point, man, I feel like you have to approach it. You have to approach it as such. You know what I'm saying? Like this era of 800-meter running is the best it's ever been, arguably. You know what I'm saying? So what a blessing it is for me to be in this era because I know that I'm going to get the best out of myself. And it keeps you accountable. It keeps you disciplined. It keeps you focused because you know that if you're not on your P's and Q's, um, that somebody else can come in and take your spot. So for me, I'm super excited. I think something special is going to happen at USA's. I think something special is going to happen at Worlds. I think that 141 or that 140-91 is on borrowed time because of the people um, who are competing against each other and the people who want to be the best. It's just pushing everybody to a new level. So.
We talked at the end of this season. What would you consider success to be?
Oh, making that team and medaling in Tokyo.
Oh,
That's what I want to do, and I feel like all I have is all I need, and God's given me the ability to do so. So for me, I think it's just about continuing to take it day by day and taking advantage of every opportunity that I get on that track. So.
you've talked a lot about, your faith in a lot of these responses in this conversation. Just shedding some more light on it, can you talk about why your faith is so important to you and share some of your faith journey that has gotten you to this day and being so outspoken about it? A lot of people have it, but a lot of people kind of hide it in the light, only talk about it at church, only talk about it with
Yeah.
their friends who they're comfortable with, not publicly like you.
Yeah, man. I think that the biggest thing, so, I always grew up in the church, but I didn't really start taking the walk for myself until college, my freshman year of college. And since then, it's been a journey. It's been a bunch of, it's just been a walk, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like I've grown in some way each and every year. And the reason that I'm outspoken about it is because I've been in situations where all I can say is God did. You know what I'm saying? He hasn't failed me, so why wouldn't I talk about him? And I think for me, just being bold and being outspoken with my faith is one of the reasons why God has me where He has me. Because at the end of the day, all I'm doing is running 2 laps as fast as I can, right? And it's not necessarily the how fast you run it that gets you remembered. It's what you mean to people that gets you remembered. And for me, I think just again, like I said, being authentically myself, that's something that I'm proclaiming on top of the mountains to anybody that will hear that Jesus Christ is the reason then I'm doing what I'm doing. And we say God, but we gotta say Jesus. You know what I'm saying? So he's given me the ability to do this stuff, and I'm just trying to give it back to him. He gave me a gift, and I'm just trying to give it back to him. So
You don't know what you don't know, and I give people grace in that. So statistically, with the amount of people listening, there are probably some people today who are like, "Cool, glad that's your perspective. I don't really know what you're talking about, and I don't know where to start." What would you say to those people in terms of just just anything to provoke them, and how your faith has fundamentally changed you, and why you think that's the way, the truth, and the life?
well, I think the biggest thing is again, I think it's an identity journey that you have to go on for yourself. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like everybody finds their identity in something. You know what I'm saying? And the people who say everybody has a God. You know what I'm saying? Whether you believe in one or don't, everybody has some sort of higher power that they look to, whether it be social media, whether it be a girlfriend or a boyfriend, whether it be anything. You know what I'm saying? So my whole thing is, um, why not worship the one that gives you every single thing that you need, um, without requiring anything in return, um, as far as anything materialistic or anything like that. And I will also say, go on the journey for yourself. Don't knock it till you try it. You know what I'm saying? Give it a chance. Give Jesus a chance. Open up the Bible. Go to Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Learn who He is, and go from there. Because at the end of the day, He truly changed my life. I look at the person I was before. I look at the person I am now, and I might not be where I want to be, but thank God I'm not who I was. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that I'm carrying with me, and that's something that he's he's continuing to to work out within me. So that's what I would say. Just try it. He loves you, and go for it.
I love it. I love it. Appreciate those words, man. I've said this on other podcasts, but I'll say it on this one because not everyone listens to every single podcast episode from this. Test God. Literally state an openness and say, God, if you're real, reveal yourself to me in the next 30 days. Like,
You'll be
I'm confident he'll show
surprised.
up. Yeah,
I would be
exactly.
surprised.
Yeah, you would be surprised. So, and that
Surprised.
doesn't look necessarily like God, hearing the voice of God, but I've heard time and time again stories of people who are in disbelief, but they feel an empty part of their heart or
Yeah.
soul, and so they're like, "What? Why not? At this point, why not? What does
Why
it hurt
not?
me to be like, God, if you're real, reveal yourself to me?" And the amount of stories I've heard of people doing that, who just miracles happen in their life that just indicate to them that there is God and He's Jesus, is crazy. So if you're out there, and what do you lose? What do you lose in doing that? Yeah.
Exactly. one
So
thousand percent. No, I totally agree with that. Test them, and just do it. You know what I'm saying? Again, if nothing happens, then you were the same way that you were before.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? But I'm telling you, that's not gonna happen.
yeah.
So
You can plug
yeah,
Brandon and I if nothing happens, but I don't think that'll happen. So Brandon, as we start to wrap up this conversation, what is advice for the next generation? What are valuable things you feel like you've learned through your journey that you think other people should know?
man, trust the process. You know what I'm saying? Trust the process, and don't be worried about results. Worry about the process. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people um, have a destination, uh, but they don't have a route in order to get there. You go on Apple Maps and you type in a destination. It'll say the destination at the end, but what it'll first tell you to do is go right on this street, go left on this street, go on the highway for this many miles, and then take this exit. You know what I'm saying? You have to be present within the process in order to get to the destination. And I feel like when people are like, yo, they hit me up over Instagram, yo, I want to run sub two. Tell me a workout that I can do in order to get there. And that's not what you should be asking. It's what type of person should I be? What type of person should I turn into? Um, or, let me rephrase. The type of question they should be asking is, what kind of runner runs 158?
Mm,
What kind of runner runs 155? What kind of runner runs 153? and so on and so on, and it's the process of becoming that person that'll allow you to see those times. You know what I'm saying? A 155 runner doesn't eat that. A 155 runner gets 8 hours of sleep. A 155 runner, you know what I'm saying, stacks weeks and weeks and weeks, sometimes even years of consistency upon each other before they see a result. Um, and that's the biggest thing that I would say, because when you put your head down and you work and you focus on the process, then you'll look up and go further than you ever thought you could.
I love it. Amazing words of wisdom. Final question for you. The question I ask every guest on every single episode. If you had Gordon Ramsay coming over to your house for dinner, what would you personally choose to make for him?
Yeah, so I'm not a big cook. I'm getting into it, but my mom used to make this pasta. I get it every time I go home, and like when it's not grind time, it's called muscatolis. This pasta's so good, and I've been learning it, and I've actually gotten pretty good at it. First camp in January through February, I made some for the whole 800 men squad because we was all staying together, and they really enjoyed it. So that's probably what I would make for him. Um, I think he would enjoy it. I would hope so.
Brandon, thank you so much for taking the time to share so much
Thank you,
wisdom
brother.
from your storied career and all the things in between. You're such a good guy. And for all the Brandon Miller fans out there, I had the privilege of meeting you for the first time last month in St. Louis, and you're so genuine, such a good guy. And so off the track, man, really appreciate the ways that you impact every single person that you meet, every single person around you. Big fan, and excited to see you crush it in Eugene later this month. And I know that's just the start. You're a youngin'. And even if your track career ended today, I know you do big things outside the sport. So keep crushing it, and Godspeed, brother.
Thank you, brother. I really appreciate you. Thanks for having me, man.